Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Live Season 3, Episode 21. Should I say? Jesus Christ, have I lost 9 weeks already? And tonight is, of course, Bounty... it's Bounty Hunt 10, but I like to call it Bounty Season 10, so I can keep calling it BS. So, of course, we're going to be discussing BS 10 and the new TLCs and this week's update. I think there was some bug fixes and tuning and stuff. So, we are missing Rue tonight. She's traveling. So, hopefully, she is traveling safely. And the wonderful Ren tonight is going to share the slides. Ren is going to be Rue tonight. I've asked him to wear a skirt. I don't know.
That's a loss to the entire I'm sad for everyone.
So as many times as you can, guys, please refer to Ren as Rue, because I'm sure he'll love that. And of course, Andrew, welcome. Good to see you on tonight, buddy.
Hello.
And of course, the wonderful George.
Evening, everybody.
And we have a guest star tonight, the wonderful Rena.
Hello.
How's it going? Rena's guest on tonight, and she's going to be giving us some bashing on Bounty at some point, I think.
do you want to tell them how to actually pronounce the name right?
Rena?
Thank you.
That's what I said, Rena.
Rena.
That's
what
he said in his accent, George. You got to respect the accent.
You got to respect the accent. I mean, that's what the viewers are hearing.
Should I ask you to say my name again? Like,
it's all about the hair.
No. We don't have the entire show for that.
Well, I get Ren's name wrong as well. Sorry, Rue's name. Okay, Ren, I will screen share you, and you take the slides away.
Yeah. I'm sharing my screen. You lock it, and let's go. If I can do this right. Okay, so we're going to talk about Bounty 10, FM, and the 2 TLCs we have for Manticores, and the exciting bug fixes. And those bugs that most people don't even know are there, but are fixed. But some of them are actually cool. Okay. Bounty 10. Everybody knows what Bounty is by now, right? Supposed to be a PvP event where we hit each other, we steal bounty, and we get some cool shit at the end. I mean, cool blueprints at the end. And so the drops are back to 800 bounty every 6 hours. And the how they call the replicas are back to the kind of payout we had before last month. Any comments on that intro before we go deeper into it?
I want to win that ship.
Okay, cool. So new information, big changes here. We don't have the checkpoints anymore. We don't have the huge checkpoints on Sunday anymore.
Thank God.
The downside is you don't have those chests anymore. And I used to like the chests because I used to get like Conqueror build tokens here and there. What do you guys say of the new system where now we bank whenever we want up to, depending on the day, 5, 4, or 3 times a day? And then you're exposed.
Interesting idea, poor implementation.
Why?
There's no limit on the bank. You can bank while you're being hit. You can rely on the 10,000 unsecured. So some of the big hitters, if we could actually hit a base, wouldn't be able to go and whack somebody for a lot of bounty because that's fun too. The hitting anybody with unsecured, regardless of how much they have or you have, I don't know. Like the whole thing's just if they did have the daily charges and they went, okay, the first one that you do is going to be 90% of what you have. The next one's going to be like 85. The next one's going to be 80. So there's always bounty in the system.
Okay,
that would be a little
that's
bit
your
different.
point. Always leaving some bounty in the system.
Yes.
Never banking everything.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, beside the point that that we can't actually really hit bases at the moment, putting that to one side. Yeah, I think it's kind of bad that the chests have been pulled away because it was good to get those little buffs of uranium or even the Conqueror tokens for VXP and build times. That was a nice little incentive. But yeah, I mean, this system's very easily exploited as well. You can stick a guard on your base, and the second someone hits the guard, you're going to get hit, so you bank. I mean, it's so.
So I have a question. How are you going to be able to access the bank button while you're watching a base hit? Can you do it from the map?
Yeah, go to the map.
No,
that's my assumption.
This was actually something Andrew brought up pre-show too. I mean, if you, well, I was something I wasn't thinking. Andrew said in pre-show that if you could just put a gunboat on your base and guarding your own base, and the second someone hits the gunboat, you bank. And he's very right. I mean, it's
yeah, okay, yeah, that I can see. But I think during a hit, if you wait until you're actually being hit, I haven't seen this new interface. I don't know if you can access it from the map.
Ah, but if there's a gunboat on your base, you can be in your base, can't you?
Yeah. If you're online, yeah.
Also, anyone who, at the end of their day, banks just before they log off, that leaves their base with no bounty and leaves them as not a target.
Oh, so, absolutely, yeah. Before you go to work or before you go to sleep, I mean, that's certainly two good points to bank.
Yeah, I mean, whereas you had access to hit someone's base for 24 hours, a day, like at some point they were going to go to sleep or go to work, and you could get in, and now, say for example, someone plays for just 3 hours a night, they log in, do their stuff, bank, no one's stealing anything.
Now, are you guys going to miss the Sunday excitement when Checkpoint 5 was like 57,000 points?
I'm glad that's gone.
Oh, you're glad that's gone.
It was interesting. Yeah, Sunday was interesting. For the other days, though, I think everybody was playing to 18 grand and just not having anything in their base already, and if this was to try and mitigate that, then again, implementation's poor. I mean, you've got to do it. You have to somehow motivate players to leave bounty available during the event so you can go and hit them, right? So if you are going to go, hey, you can just bank everything, there's no incentive. If you're going to go, hey, your first bank's going to be like 90%, so you're going to leave 10% available, you're going to try and hold on to a lot of bounty and bank a large amount the first time, because the next time would be 85 or 80. And the more daily charges you use, the more you leave vulnerable after you bank. So that way, it kind of motivates on both sides,
Yeah. Assuming we could hit the top.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put that aside for now. We'll get to that. But
I'm looking towards bounty next month when I'm actually going to be playing it. So,
right.
Yeah. It needs to. You have to motivate the players on both sides. One, to leave bounty in the system available, so that other players are motivated to like hit bases. And
Miranda,
assuming,
what do you think?
So I'm excited that we have more targets to hit. The not only having to have more than you unsecured is something I think we've been asking for a long time. Those of us who end up with the full bounty, trying to get all the prizes, a lot of times we end up sitting there at the top of the leaderboards with no one to hit. And that's, a huge frustration. I mean, how many hours have we spent sitting there searching through the top 100 on the leaderboard in our world, trying to find an open base that might possibly have more bounty than us? So the fact that they open it up so that we can hit down for bounty for anybody who has some unsecured, I think is a positive thing. I like, in theory, the idea of being able to bank when you want, but much like some of the issues that you guys have already brought up, I can see that there's going to be some potential issues out there with now finding open bases that are actually worth anything. I kind of wish they would have gone back to the very first bounty, where being unbubbled, you earned bounty automatically, to where that would continue to generate, some bounty sitting out there, even if it wasn't a huge amount. Yeah, you were always worth something as long as you were unbubbled.
So
I think there's ways that, I think it's a good start. I think they're trying to accomplish some of the things that a lot of us have been asking for a long time, which is more flexibility in the checkpoints, because the 10,000 isn't necessarily attainable for some of our lower level players who aren't able to get there unsecure. I mean, how many people have we seen, they've been working their butt off for 5 or 6 hours grinding away at targets, and some big bully like myself comes and takes, 5,000 from them, and they're back grinding for 5 or 6 hours. So I like, in theory, that'll help some of those lower level people maybe be able to bank more bounty and get some of the prizes, but I can see the downsides of it too.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think?
I'm surprised none of you brought up the point that pretty much now I'm going to be certain that if I find a base on map and that base has bounty, that player will be online in all likelihood, because they're going to bank before they leave for the day or to go to bed, right? So in theory, a lot more people would be driving their guards and that kind of stuff. That's just going to be my standard expectation now.
Yeah, but I think at least those of us who had a decent amount of bounty unsecured last time pretty much were, they're driving guards anyway. I don't know that I hit a single base last bounty that somebody wasn't online driving their guard.
Mm-hmm. George?
I didn't drive mine. I actually am kind of curious. Do you guys, what do you guys think the impact is going to be on the lower, the people that are not in the top tier of PvP for being able to hit anybody with unsecured bounty?
I don't know about hitting people with unsecured bounty, but I think the guys more at the bottom of the food chain, they will be able to grind the replicas, find easy replicas, hit easy replicas, and those guys not necessarily have a solid base and a solid guard, but some of them have some ships they can put on guard and drive, which increases their chances of defending. And I mean, if I'm a guy looking for those prizes at 2,000, 5,000 points, I think a warden now is 5,000 points, if I'm not mistaken. You can grind and just, grind a few targets, I don't know, get 1,000 points and bank.
Do you know?
You get 5 times in the first day and you get 5K safe. And it doesn't take that long to get 1,000 points in bank.
Do you know if we start with 800 points like we did last time?
Should be. They didn't say any changes about that, so should be. And getting the grants 800, so,
Well,
you log at the right time, you may just get 1,600 and bank immediately.
The thing that I think is going to go on in this bounty, like in previous bounties, big players targeted big players for big bounty prizes. Whereas in this bounty, anyone that's got, maxed out turrets in ballistic and pen, no one's going to go near their bases. No one's even going to waste their time. So what is all the big players going to be doing? They're going to be hunting and looking for the lower players. The lower players, the players that we should be working on trying to improve, are the players that are going to suffer the most in this bounty because everyone's going to be picking on them. Yeah,
everybody's going to be trying to pick on them. So my concern is that there's not going to be anyone to pick on at all, because at the top level, you just can't defeat the bases who are maxed up on turrets. And you can't. And if the lower players are smart, you log in at the right time, you get 800. In 3-5 minutes, you get another 800. You bank.
Mm-hmm.
And you're off.
That's about the only way they're going to be able to play it, to be quite fair.
Yeah, but then they'll be safe. They'll be always safe if they play right.
Well, they won't always be safe, because if they're that weak where they're going to be banking at 800, they're going to be hit. They're going to get walked for free 400 every time.
I honestly don't understand why any player that doesn't have maximum ballistic turret, maximum is even going to click to participate in this. I really don't. I mean,
that's another good point.
Like, surely they would just look and say, nah, no way. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to progress as it is. I'm not going to put a target on my base for the next 4 days. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I suspect there'll be a lot less people participating than previously.
So I have another slide here full of information, but sorry guys, just to move on, because I'm looking at the time here. We have nothing new on the Nexuses, so mega hulls, Nexuses, 5 per ward, and I believe the usual suspects will be claiming them and sitting on them and getting the points from them. That's another perfect timing to bank. I mean, you wait until Friday, 2-3 p.m. my time here, Eastern time, and bank, right? And you do the same on Monday. Well, by then it's over anyways. So you get my point, right? No changes here. Replicas, no changes in replicas, except they're going to be paying as they used to before last month, so a little bit less on points. But I think you could still get 500 points from a single replica, couldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's where they capped out.
Yeah. Okay, prizes. I'm not going to read all of them, but there are some cool from this list here, the low level. What would you guys recommend people should get?
For lower levels,
we're done.
I mean,
no tokens.
Yeah, I mean, well, listen, if you're a lower level, and I mean lower level, then Twin Blade is obviously a viable option as a base hitting fleet if you are in a bracket where that fleet's still viable. But that's quite a low bracket, probably in the game's current terms.
Yeah, I like the AFT Razor Foil special. It gives very good building damage and whatnot. I actually use it on 2 of my missile cruisers.
I usually always recommend. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I usually always recommend getting the specials just because they seem to come around a lot less often than the weapons and the holes.
Mm. Yeah, I don't see a use for Clipper missiles. They're not really good. So nothing else, guys? Tokens, special, maybe twin blades for low levels. Is it?
Well, you can only store 2 24-hour structure build tokens, and currently with the massive amounts of base parts we can use to upgrade almost everything. The only thing that 24-hour structure build token would be good for is the Conqueror yard.
Which for a low level would make sense.
Yeah, possibly level 2 of a portal. But you can
or
only hold
some of those crazy 6.5 tier turrets, you know, the Cataclysm mortar and stuff.
Yeah, good point. The cannibal Wendigos and whatnot.
Mm.
Okay, then we have the next tier, 2400. What do you recommend from here?
Well, the Transformer for sure. I mean, the 2XQ 100%, because I mean that's still highly relevant, and a weapon that does over damage and adds deflection. So I would definitely say a high explosive shell. I mean, that's a whole selection of good prizes. That really, I would say.
I agree. Yeah, I mean that's viable as an attacker and a defender. I mean, the slot with the special and whatnot can be a good in base defense and attack both, right?
Yeah, and I think it's still going to be on the shelf for a while to come. I mean, the way that they're trying to sort of say that one hole is better at defending than another hole, I think we may be in a position where you need a mixed fleet to edge forward with one ship, to edge forward with another ship. So I think the Onslaught is going to be around for a good while yet. So a good.
Well, in theory, until they finish the whole tier 7 family, which they might be only halfway through at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, didn't they say that we would expect a shelf life of a year on them now? Which, I mean, when did the Onslaught come out? Was it earlier this year?
It was the first one, first tier 7. I don't remember when. Do you guys?
I think there's 6 or 7 tier 7 Conquerors. I believe I heard.
Yeah, I'm thinking one of each type.
Yeah, I would think 6, one for each weapon type.
Yeah. Well, and not to mention like flags. You know, we've seen the Mauler, so we could see more flags.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so good prices here. 5,000. I would take the first 2 first.
Agreed.
But see, the Night Watch countermeasure, you know, it's more useful in base attacking than it is in base defending, and it is good in certain particular fleet types, especially if you're still running like a sloth kind of style fleet, because it shoots down everything from the mortars to the mortar turrets to protect your sloths outside, you know. So it's a very and it can bring up your deflection values. I mean, I run about 6 on an MSC.
Wow.
So yeah, and it tanks in my sloth fleet, and it does work really well.
Yeah, of everything there, I think the armor is the last thing on my list if I was going to choose an order. I use the other 3 a lot.
But for people building tier 7 Conquerors, I'd say that tactical focus is a must-have.
Yes.
Yeah.
It powers up your fleet like exponentially, pretty much. When the more holes you have with it on, all of them will be doing a lot less damage if they stay close together, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's nice to see it at. Is this the first time it's been at a lower price like that? It's normally 10K, isn't it?
It's been going down, I think, with each bounty. It's the 3rd time they're offered, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have better memory, but I think it's the 3rd time.
I don't think it's ever been less than 10K, Ren, if I'm honest. I think it was 10K when it first came out, and I think it's been 10K ever since.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen it less than 10K.
Yeah, okay, so great price then. And then we have the Flag Warden at 10K. Second time it's offered, isn't it?
I still don't know how good it is, because since I built it, no one's really got near my base. So I still don't know if it's actually good or not. You know, I built it and it's in my base, but I don't know. I don't know if it's effective.
It's funny. I'm in the same boat. I have it built. I never used it.
Mm.
Do you guys know if it's good?
Well, I think it will be. I think it is good, but But
No, but you and I both said we haven't had a chance to test it. I'm asking the other 3 guys on the panel if any one of them had a chance to
I haven't
see it
even
in
built
action.
it.
No?
I don't own it.
Okay, George?
Oh, no one's even touched my
Okay.
base. Yeah.
So from here, guys, what would you get?
The javelins.
oh yeah.
Yeah, turrets first.
Yeah, I get all 4 turrets. I mean, I'm short 1 Halo, so I'm definitely going to try to get 1 Halo, but the 2 javelins first.
There's
I'm
a-
short of Halo.
there's There's a question for you. If you're already at 8 missile turrets, would you still get the 2 extra Halo missiles?
You won't be able to. Oh, actually, you are. Max 4. You're right. I would not. The turret in itself, it's useless.
Yeah.
Well, we do a lot of our other turrets are also useless.
Yeah, I mean, I would only get it if you don't currently have 8.
Hey, but here's my point. People don't get a truckload of bounty points, right? If that was a raid where you can just keep scoring points and points and points, yeah, I get everything, right? But in bounty, I've always had to choose. I was never able to say I'm going to get everything. I never had that many points. I'm not Reina. She gets points for everything, right? So I would get the javelins and the extra Halo just to complete my pool of 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see a point in getting more Halos. Alone, they're as good as I don't know, a Cerberus rocket from 5 years ago.
The thing is, my biggest concern is I don't even know how easy, quickly, or efficiently I'm going to be able to get points. So I'm not like counting my. Normally at Bounty, I'm like counting my chips before the end. I'm saying, right, I'm going to get that. This time, I'm like, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to get. So, I'm going to have to wait to the end before I take a pick.
Right.
I'm just curious if they actually made sure that the group bonus works to a limit of 8, or if it's going to stack like fire supports used to.
Hey, good question. If it's broken and you build 10 of those turrets and you get 10 bonuses, oh my god.
Yep.
People on the map getting close to your base, you get smoked.
They'll just blow up before they get there.
Mm.
I mean,
I'm
with
looking
the Javelin,
forward. Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, with the Javelin 2, the Howie critical hits up to like just under 50. Well, it's just over 15 million on a critical hit.
Yeah, after Siege Battery is going to deal actual 7.6 million damage.
7.699194.
Yeah, whatever.
I've been
And
doing
it's funny,
all the
it's
math
going to
for this
be
stuff.
7.6 million crit when you get the 2 javelins, if you have the 2 blunderbusses and the 4 Howies, and Forsaken Faction. And the new ship, we'll talk about that in a moment, doesn't get anywhere near that deflection, huh?
No.
You're gonna one shot everything before it even gets near a first building to shoot at.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that when we get to the ship. I'm holding that topic to that because I know we all have a bunch of ideas about the whole thing.
I mean, listen, I will say, Ren, the Siege Cannon D35V, the stats look nice, but at the end of the day, I didn't see over damage listed on it, and, its damage is just going to be passed through. So whether you feel it's that nice, a chain guns will still out damage it.
Yeah. And maybe the reason it doesn't have the over damage, and you're telling me I'm trusting because I didn't read the blueprint, it's probably because it's a siege cannon, so it's primarily to deal damage to buildings, and there you don't need the over damage.
Yeah, but if you look at a chain gun, it has a 150k times 6, whereas this does like 25k times 1. I mean, who in their right mind would even run it?
Yeah,
it's just
more for speed. I mean, if you want a blitzer, right?
Well, this is the first of these weapons, the PvP weapons, which gives us radioactive deflection.
Yeah, I did notice that. I mean, that's a key point because you can essentially build a ship without running D6U armor and put one of each, like a CT, a siege cannon and something else, and get your deflections up enough that you could run 2 MC2 and 3 MC1.
One 2XQ mortar, one of these, and you're only going to be open to corrosive.
The D35V does have over damage at 636.
Oh, it does? Okay.
Sorry, in the stats in these in these picks, it won't show that because I don't know where Andrew took it from, but it's not going to show that. So
yeah, I'll get to the pictures in a moment. So the one that nobody mentioned, and I want to ask, I haven't tried because I don't have it. The penetrative scope. that guy gives you extra range. So a missile cruiser that is already at 110, I think it gets to 120, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or something like it. Has anyone tried that one? Like just
But-
not just
but
No,
like,
because it doesn't
boss?
stack well with other stuff, so I've not used it.
No?
Yeah, and that will reduce damage. But then if you're only getting passed through plus over,
It doesn't matter, exactly. I'm thinking about just sniping stuff.
Well, bear in mind that explosive scope on a CT rocket onslaught is what 119, 118. So
Yeah,
if you were an extremely careful driver, you could maybe just about outrange it. I don't know. I wouldn't like to try, but
Okay. And here's a top price: the Impact Cruiser, which, as it stands, is a stillborn ship, right? I mean, it's not going to change the balance in the game or the lack of balance in the game right now, because even with that 1.6 million ballistic deflection, it will still die to one shot of a Howie if you have all 6 ballistic turrets. And it's going to die even faster against the penetrative turrets. So we get to the point now where, we know PvP is broken. We don't have the tools in the game to overcome any of these turrets, and they can one-shot kill any of your ships. Do we all acknowledge and agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how would you guys fix it? Let's start with the guy who speaks the least, George.
I think when I look at the numbers, the way everything's set up, it looks like that armor that they've released for both of the armors were balanced around the group bonus being an additive stack rather than a multiplicative stack. So I think the easiest option for them is to either correct the armor such that it actually reflects the way the group bonuses are actually stacking, or correct the group bonuses to stack additively like they had intended apparently at the beginning.
So these would be your two. Do you guys, everyone on the panel, what do you think of these two ideas? Either fix the armor, so buff the armor post-release, the MC2, or change the way the bonuses stack. What do you think of those two? Pros and cons.
Well, either way would be okay with me. I mean, I think players would be more angry if they changed the turret stacking because its numbers are starting to work with. But the figures are getting crazy, the maths are getting crazy, and maybe we're talking about critical hits of 6.9 million, as George said earlier. That's too much. We're that to try and balance armor towards that creates imbalance elsewhere, I think.
I have a third possible option. What if they just introduce a brand new CIC that we can put on here, or tactical module that we can put on here? As we have only gotten one Conqueror tactical module, isn't it about time that we get another one? And if they put that out, they could possibly fix some of these issues.
We have 2. They came out with one last bounty.
The one that kills
the field extinguisher.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree. I mean that's an option.
I think my biggest concern is that something is broken. They know something. They broke something in doing this, and before they try and overcorrect it, I think they should actually just find what the actual break was and correct it. And from looking at the numbers, I think that's what it was. It was either the balance of the one team did the group bonus, one team did the armor, and they didn't talk to each other. And I don't know which one's broken, which one isn't. But I think that's about where it's at.
Okay, so we have to wait. Let's keep it organized. We have 3 ideas. Let's go with our guest now. Reina, do you have any idea, or do you want to comment on the 3 ideas we have on the table?
I'm okay with any of the 3 ideas. I mean, whatever gets our PvP back in balance, I'm good with. My biggest fear, and Ren, you and I talked about this earlier, is them making a knee-jerk reaction and fixing something, and that completely flips us the opposite direction, which is what happened with the overdamage, this time last month. So what I don't want is Kixeye to make a knee-jerk reaction because of the uproar right now and overfix something or overcomplicate something instead of doing exactly what George said and figure out the root of the problem, figure out what the correct actions are to fix the problem, and then effectively communicate what that's going to be to the community in advance of uproaring PvP the opposite direction.
That is huge. We have had crap for communication about all of this all year long.
So I'm putting the picture together. We have 3 ideas: a tactical module, a buff in the MC2 plate, and maybe on the MC1 plate as well. What is the third one? Was a change in the way that the group bonus stacks from multiplicative back to additive, which would balance things out. 3 ideas, and then the concern about not implementing in a rush and surprising everyone a day before bounty, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The problem is,
Liam, the host, go, your turn.
Well, I'm just thinking that, you know, people are going to look at this, including myself, and think, oh, you know, there's another ship that's going to die in one shot, you know, and people may not partake in this because of that reason. People may not bother even getting this hole because they think, well, what's the point? But if Kixeye do say, oh, well, there is a problem, we're going to fix it, and after bounty fix it, and this hole then becomes the #1 hole in the game. I mean, you know, if they're aware of a situation, then I feel that it should be vocalized, and it should be vocalized prior to this bounty, to players getting into it, because this hole could turn out to be absolutely amazing if they do correct something next week or whenever they decide to do it. So, you know,
but that goes back to exactly what Rena said, is that the communication has got to be there. If they know, like, if they're looking at it and they're like, hey, we're gonna fix this, people need to know before the bounty starts, because I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a lot of people not playing the bounty because it's pointless. You still
a lot of people know
a
lot of people know there's nothing for them to hit that's going to be worth any bounty. The replicas are going to be super hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the hull's not going to be worth. I mean, you know, if we're already the players that were at the top that we're hitting, would be another hull that's going to die, you know, before you get to a corner. So, you know, what's the point? But if they're planning on correcting something soon, and it's going to impact, you know, decisions of whether or not to join this bounty, they have got to tell the community. They've got to communicate. They have to.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know,
because then people will know the actual value of the prize. Okay, it doesn't have a value now, but by Tuesday's update, this will be fixed and the hole will be valuable. I think that's the message, right?
Definitely.
Now, I really like the 3 ideas you guys put on the table, and because all of them are a broad fix to the problem. The one thing I would not like to see, it's, oh, let's buff the ballistic deflection on the impact cruiser, so that hole's going to survive. I would not like to see that, because that doesn't fix the systemic problem.
Yeah, and that creates a huge imbalance then to MSC and Onslaught, because they basically become redundant while this hole is viable.
Exactly.
So yeah, that would be the absolute worst thing they could do.
Well,
yeah, I hope they don't do hole by hole changes. That's my point. Sorry, George, go ahead.
I was just going to say that wouldn't make that hull viable either.
Yeah, because it would actually penetrate it.
Yeah, they'd have to go both.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Any more comments on bounty and PvP overall? Just an open round here. Let's take a few minutes for that.
Fix it and talk to us. I mean, that's as simple as you can get. You know.
Good.
I personally can't believe we're going into PvP a PvP event, bounty event, with the current state of PvP. I can't believe they're not making any effort to fix it prior to it. You know, it's just an absolute disaster. I'm surprised at their lack of ignorance towards the situation.
Or even postpone it, for crying out loud.
Postpone it, or do something. You know, there's many things they could do, and instead they're doing nothing. I'm really not looking forward to it. I think I'm going to spend more time in this bounty looking for base, like peeking into bases and counting their turrets to see if I will die in one shot or not, than I will actually like hitting anything. I think I'll probably spend 30 minutes to an hour finding a target.
Yeah, Rain?
Hitting but baby seals.
Yeah, well, I agree with Liam. I mean, that's been the story of my life for the last 2 weeks, is peeking bases, and maybe 1 out of 10 you can actually hit. So, I mean, I agree with it's going to take forever, but I'm sitting here thinking, how many bounties have we had where they haven't flip-flop PvP on us, literally the update before bounty within a couple days of bounty starting? So I'd kind of like to know what they had in the works that they were planning on doing before all these issues came up and we brought up to them exactly how broken PvP was. Because I have a feeling there was probably something that we didn't know about that they were planning on doing that probably would have royally screwed our lives up with PvP, just based on past experiences with Bounty. And it might still be coming, and we just don't know it. So I think the moral of the story is, communicate. Even if you don't know exactly what the change is going to be at this point, I think we need better communication, and at least an acknowledgement that people understand that there's a problem and that the resolution is being worked on.
Yeah, on communication. So one thing I got from the Battle Pirates executive at Kixeye, and she said we could share that here during the show. So she said that they are acutely aware of the problem. They understand the problem and that players right now don't have tools at all to overcome the situation with the turrets, and they are working that as a top priority to solve. Now, that's the statement. I don't have timelines. That's what I got, right? I'm with all of you guys. I wish they would share. Not only share what I just said and say, hey, guys, that's our top priority now as a problem to solve. And we've been on that pretty much the whole day trying to find what's the good solution here. And I hope they listen to this show here and listen to the solutions you guys proposed. Even for this bounty now, and that's something I had suggested to Raycon months ago. I think it was when the 2 executioners came out. They were the first 2 tier 7 turrets, if I remember. And I said, you know what, GDR, players should have bonus bounty points for hitting replicas with 2 executioners in. And in this time, I mean, if they're able to identify those, I would even say maybe they should put like a red sign, a poison sign on those bases now that we'll have 8 penetrative turrets or 6 ballistic turrets. Either put a crazy sign on them or pay like 3 times the points, or just remove them from replicating at all. So
well, I think the mechanics in the replica bases are different. I haven't completely verified that, but I believe the mechanics are a little bit different. So the tier group stacking is different in the replica bases.
Yeah, but players don't know that because, again, it hasn't been communicated. So I don't know if we're talking out of knowledge or
testing.
Impression or
no, just testing. I mean, and that's the thing that's really frustrating sometimes is that, we find things out through testing and that one I think came and who did it? I think it was I don't know, I'll remember later on who did it, but I think it was like 2 of the mods and another player in SDS7, and they found out, hey, this isn't quite working exactly the way it does in a player base. But the problem is that's something that should have been said, like when Bounty came out. Hey guys, we're doing the replica bases, but don't worry. We understand the points are only like 300 or 400 points. You're not going to lose your fleet trying to do this. You know what I mean? Like just something.
But I'll say something here because, again, I mean, going back to Reina's point about a knee-jerk reaction, I really don't want them to change something tonight or Bounty starting tomorrow. What I want is for them to communicate and say, hey, guys, by Tuesday, these are the changes we'll make to make PvP viable again. Because, I mean, George, you're in SDS7. Reina's the leader of PNLS. So, Reina, what's the mood in the Alliance right now?
Ugh, I don't even want to talk about it.
The best statement we had in the show so far.
Yep.
Well, why don't they? I would love to see the point progression going like towards Saturday, Sunday. I have an idea of where it's going to be, and I'm looking forward to when I see where it is. And why don't they just reduce the prizes? The points we need to purchase the prize. Like, why don't they just reduce it? Because they know we're not going to get points like we used to get points.
That's another great idea. You're right. I mean, they should monitor that and make a decision maybe by end of day Friday. George, how's the mood in SDS7?
Actually, I was going to ask Reina a question as well, because the mood in SDS7 is like usually I will get on any night and there are a half a dozen people on and we're talking and prepping bases. Something's going on. The last few weeks, I mean, there are players that I know haven't logged in a day or two that used to play all the time. Like it is a very bad atmosphere right now. Everyone's very frustrated. I mean, it's a very, very, very PvP centric alliance. And when you can't PvP, you don't play. I mean, I don't know. Miranda, have you seen a lot of people in your alliance just not come on as often in the game too?
So we, because of the results of the raid, we actually recommended people cut back their playtime and their spending, because of the horrific raid that we experienced, just from history of the game. Kix listens when you don't spend. And I have a lot of spenders in my group. You know, that's why we get accused of working for Kixeye, because most of us coin.
Yep.
So, you know, usually if, you know, groups like yours and mine start reducing our spending, they start to take notice. And so we've been on a pretty steady push for 2.5, close to 3 weeks at this point. But I think we see way more people in comms now. We're just not posting bases and hitting bases. We're bantering and making fun of each other, and joking about finding bases to go fail in and stuff like that. I think the camaraderie in our group, we probably haven't experienced quite as much of the fallout as what a lot of other groups have, just because we just joke around and have fun more than anything. Make fun of Liam's hair when we can.
There you go.
I must admit,
Okay.
you know, I haven't been playing much the last couple of weeks. You know, I find that at PvP there's not much to do.
Okay, so guys, just in the interest of time, the calibrator is a special for the cannon. Not much to see there. I think it's a good special. But I'm not going to cover one by one. I think we discussed all of them. You guys okay that we don't go one by one in detail?
Yeah, I think everyone that's watching the show anyway wants to know, you know, what we think about the situation. And you know, Rain actually brought up something that I've kind of like I've been in denial about that last raid, but this is this bounty coming on the heels of a horrific damn raid. I don't know. Somebody's got to say something to the community. I mean, they've got to.
Now, by the way, looking at the blueprint here of the Siege cannon, George, there's no over damage listed. I don't know where this picture came from, but there's no over damage.
Yeah, the one on the release notes has it. It says over damage 636, projectile speed 350, accuracy 70.
All right. So our picture for some reason is missing that.
Yep.
The Javelin is a nice turret. Somebody on TFC page actually noticed the projectile speed is probably the highest ever we've seen on anything. I was checking arbalests and other weapons, and I couldn't find anything close to 2250. Some things are like at 1500, but I think this is by far the fastest firing turret we have.
And considering you're going to put heavy ballistic shells on this, yeah, it's a laser.
Pretty much. And it does 2 damage types, right? So you're getting, even if the player can deflect everything, you're getting 2 pass-throughs.
Mm-hmm. But are they? Come on, they're not going to deflect everything.
Yeah, not at this point. We don't know what's going to happen, right? We'd love to hear from Kixeye. Hello, Kixeye. What's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's it for Bounty. Any final comments before I cover TLCs, bugs, and whatnot?
I would really urge players who don't have a maxed base to really consider very carefully about whether they want to get into this bounty, as this bounty is going to be pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I was suggesting to some people that were asking me, you know, I know some groups aren't going to play. There are some that are kind of like, I don't know what to do. I just suggested everybody, you know what, wait 24 hours, decide then. That way you'll get at least an idea of the feel of it, what's going on. It'll give Kixeye time to, you know, take a look at things. I mean, that way you don't get stuck, you know, on either side.
Yeah.
So wait 24 hours, see what's going on, and decide from there.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if you have low expectations and you can time in your login right, you can join. Join whenever, like, you're going to get 2 drops of 800 close to each other, when one is close to expiring and the next one's coming up, like within 5 minutes. Get the 2 drops and bank. You keep doing that throughout the weekend, you're guaranteed a 5K prize, such as a Flag Warden, for instance. Or an Onslaught is even less than that. It's 2,400, I think, right? So That's like zero stress bounty. Log in, get 1,600, bank. 16 hours later, or sorry, 8 hours later, right? Or 12 hours, whatever. 12 hours later, 4 times a day, yeah. Do it again, and you can bank 3,200 a day, zero stress. And your base will never have exposed bounty.
Can you bank the bounty with the mobile app that they just put out?
I don't think so.
Bounty was not able to be banked for that in prior months. I know it is something that they're working on.
Okay.
So we'll see if it's part of this one or not.
That's good advice, though, Ren. Very good advice in terms of that. I mean, if a low end player can just creep his way in, grab himself, the warning flag, or
all you gotta do is log in at the right time when you don't stay exposed with 800 bounty for hours. You just log in like 5 minutes before. Get 800 in 5-10 minutes. Get another 800. Go to map and back to base, so you get that drop, and bank 1,600 twice a day. Zero stress. And people won't keep hitting your base if you're worth 0. So it's not going to disrupt much of your doing TLCs and that kind of stuff. Talking about TLCs, let's move on. By the way, Reina, thanks a lot for joining us for the bounty discussion. If you want to stay, you're more than welcome to. If you have other stuff to do, thanks again and for staying with us here today.
Yeah, no, don't give her a choice. You're
Are
staying.
you staying or are you going?
She's staying. No, she's staying.
She's staying. All right. Lion's Mane. That's the one to get the scattergun set up. I did price packs 1 and 2 with a fleet of 5 Phoenixes, and my Phoenixes are a bit buffed at R4, and they took less than an hour damage per price pack. It was like a walk in the park if you have Phoenixes to get the Manticore, the special. I didn't do pack 3 yet, but it's kind of can't be that much harder. So anyone else done this one?
Not tried it yet. No.
And you can get three build tokens and some VXP. So people who didn't skull their Manticores, just be careful. You cannot stack many of them. Like you get 2 tokens on pack 2 and 3 on pack 3, and that's the max you can keep in the inventory. It's a max of 5. Then you got to spend them. And you get 3 days of build tokens. So easy to get the scattergun. I think XI realized people didn't do less raid. The difficulty was off the charts. People gave up. And here's their response, I think. They're pretty much gifting the Manticore for anyone with a Phoenix fleet. If you have a Skyfire fleet, you're going to have to work a bit harder. I have a video on my channel showing that. With Skyfires, it's hard because of all the countermeasures, which only target UAVs. Any comments here? Or let's move on.
On it
Spartan
is.
Sting, that's the one where you have to have the Manticore blueprint, so which means going back a page, you have to do pack 1 of Lion's Mane at least. So you're eligible to do the Scorpion Sting. If you don't want to do the scattergun setup, go for the missile setup, which last month was getting a lot better results, like a lot better. We're doing the elite target for 10-minute damage, right?
Yeah, you actually bring up a really good point, and this is, again, it's going to go back to communication from Kix. We had the horrific raid. The auto hull didn't auto. It was just atrocious. And, what are we going to see for the next raid? Like, this is a good time to let the community know, hey, that's exactly what you're going to see next month, or hey, we understand that we kind of messed up the target and we should have a better balance next month. I mean, because if we're going to have a better balance and people are trying to get into, caught up at least to participate in the raid, they want to concentrate on the first one. If it's going to be the same and they want to kind of catch up, they want to just do the first pack of the first one and then just concentrate everything on this one.
Yeah.
And that kind of information is, things that you want to give your players so they can make informed decisions. Because now you're giving us we have the option for both, but we have no idea what the hell we should advise. You know?
As it stands, I would tell people do pack 1 of Lion. If you don't have Manticores at all, you're going to start today, okay? Do the pack 1 of Lion's Mane, get the Manticore, then skip to Scorpion Sting, get the missile equipment, and build that. Because based on last month, this is doing a lot better.
Agreed.
Right? Anyone who disagree with that statement?
Define a lot better.
I saw videos of people doing the elite target with the missile set up for 12 minutes of damage. I didn't see anybody getting
with the flag.
Well, still, that's why. I mean, if you're going to build one fleet or the other, you're going to build with the flag eventually. 12 minutes. And I didn't see anybody doing with the scatter guns unless they had the super legendary crews and this and that for less than an hour.
Well, I was seeing with just 4, because I'm going to compare apples to apples. With just 4, I was seeing about an hour with the missile hull and about an hour 30 to an hour 45 with the scattergun hull.
On the elite target.
Yes.
Right.
I'm worried.
Now the problem is the issue that I have with that would have been great if that was on auto. The problem is that you had to drive to get that time with the scatter hull. You had to drive it like a skill.
You've got to drive both the way it is.
That's the issue. So
if you got to drive both, and this guy gets 2/3 of the damage of the scattergun version, I'd recommend this guy. Kato, you're going to say something.
Yeah, I'm worried about, I mean, we've spoken about during this broadcast about how we're worried about Kix overreacting. Well, I'm worried about Kix overreacting from the last raid and making the scatterguns ones either better for this raid or the missile ones less effective, and then mucking with the actual mechanics behind the scene for this raid. I'm waiting to convert until after this raid is over.
Okay.
Yeah, and one thing to note too is that depending on driving, like if you drive like Liam drives subs, the scatter hull might be the better option because the missile hull does take a lot more damage if you mess up the driving. It's again another precision driving hull. So if you're kind of iffy on it, especially with the invisible scatter guns on those hulls, you might want to think about the scatter hull instead.
So let's reset. So if you can drive well and you're starting today, build the missile version based on what we know so far. If you drive poorly or you don't like driving with precision, you're just a bit lazy, you want to play the game watching something on TV and whatnot, probably you're better off with the scattergun because this one requires your undivided attention on the timing. If you're like me and I have 4 scattergun ships, I'm just going to finish the fleet and put the flag on it, and then I'll start worrying about the missile version, just because I'd rather have 1 complete fleet than 2 half-assed fleets.
Exactly, Ren.
My suggestion is build them with switchblades for the win.
Yeah. Now nobody's going to say the magic suggestion. Nobody?
Build the Cadies.
Yes!
Mine spotted today, as a matter of fact.
Pretty sure
the Cadies, and
pretty sure
to the 80s.
Pretty sure Katie's just been locked out of the next one.
I doubt it.
Nah, just kidding.
Okay, so that's it for TLCs. People have a week to complete. And then we had a major FM prize update. A lot of changes. I'm not going to read all the prizes. But you have Punisher stuff for you to build an FM fleet on Tier 1. Then on Tier 2, you have Citadel Zalos to build a better FM fleet. And then you have the components, not the ships, but the components to build a siege fleet. And some components to build a skirmish fleet. And I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, there's more on the right. Yeah, Hailstorm Mortar B, Anti-Mortar B. That's a good addition to FM. I don't think it was there before, was it?
I don't remember, honestly.
And high velocity rounds is now in here as well. That's
the crazy thing I wanted to say for people building citadels. Did you see how many tokens you can get for citadels? On the right. 12.
Wow.
So you can get 12 days of Citadel build tokens, and I believe that resets every week.
I'm sure I'm sat on like 60 as it is just now.
Oh, but high-level player like you, of course. But I'm saying for someone going up in the ranks, trying to do a better FM, getting a Citadel blueprint for 700 points, and then being able to grind tokens for 7,000 points each and get 12 of them.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, man.
It means you can work your way through the tiers, you know, and
very fast.
Yeah.
Then we move on to tier 3. I like the graphics here. Andrew, congrats. And then here you can get Gales, which are a limited blueprint. You can get 1 a week, Gale 2. Somewhere I saw Gale 3, but maybe it's on tier 4. I don't remember. You have the Icebreaker and all the ships you need to build a siege fleet. You have the Harlock Citadel, the flagship for Citadels, like some pretty cool stuff to get you going on pretty much every single PvE aspect of the game. Uranium, base parts, FM, everything. Right? With flagships. That's what impressed me the most.
Yeah, it's a great change. Certainly for players like not quite there yet, coming up. Even some players that have come back to the game after like taking sort of a year out.
Yeah.
You know? Like
I think every alliance has a few of those. Oh, I just came back and I don't have this or that, right?
Well, Lucy started playing again recently, and she has literally nothing. Like she cannot physically do anything in the game. Like she cannot do any chore.
No, she probably has punishers from 3 years ago, so maybe she can now go through FM quick and get stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. Like you know, if she can get herself together in terms of FM, you know, get into this tier, you know, she can certainly catch up or get herself into a position.
Yeah,
she grinds it out.
Now the Icebreaker and Icebreaker tokens, that's a big change as well, because the Icebreaker I think was there before, but now you can get 4 times 1 day Icebreaker token every week, or Monolith if you prefer Monoliths. You know, again, you can get the fleet going pretty fast. Pack 4, bunch of stuff, in my opinion, too much for people to kind of absorb, but a lot of, again, good stuff. And here you have somewhere the Vasago Icebreaker. It's on the first column there for 400,000 points. You can get a Vasago Icebreaker or the Gridiron Monolith, so you can get the flagships for FM. And there is somewhere where you can get the Zoe Apollo, I believe. I can't find if it's in here or not.
Right under the Gridiron.
Okay, thank you. And Gale 3, again, another component, limited component, very good anti-mortar, and you can get 1 per week. Anything else you guys would like to highlight here?
I think Andrew's highlighted it all already.
Okay, yeah. And tier 5. We have, again, a bunch of stuff. All the D5 armors for all types. And they brought back all the components we need for the current raid cycle. So Assault Battery, Armor D5 Calm, Pen and Corrosive Resistors are all back. And now it's 2 per week we can get. So solves that problem. We can get 4 now before next raid of each. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're good there. Turrets and PvP stuff. There's a few things in there. Past page we had, where was it? On the right. There was something here for PvP that I wanted to talk about. Oh, Sprint. Was Sprint in FM before?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Yes,
Okay.
Sprint was still in there.
Okay, I was going to say that that's a good one for raid and sometimes for PvP as well. Okay, never mind. So rockets for the upgraded rocket for Icebreaker, the D100V. It's in there. And that's it. Bug fixes. I think this one, the first one is one we noticed last bounty. Some people were exploiting a loophole in the system, running the Dragon Strike in Paint to get a 12-hour bubble. Do you remember seeing people like that?
Oh yeah, I had pictures and sent that in last bounty. I was really pissed off when that came across to me.
We ran into that a few months ago, actually, and I think it's been catching on a little bit more frequently the last couple months.
Yeah, well, news spread, right?
Right.
And then people start exploiting more and more. Okay, and we have a date for next raid, June 14th. I don't think it's a long weekend or anything like that, is it?
I think it's Father's Day weekend.
Yeah, fathers don't care. Some do.
Well, the last one was on Mother's Day weekend, so I guess it's only fair, right?
True. Okay. And the other one is some things not showing in locator. I'm not even going to say base parts targets because I think they fixed more stuff on the locator this week, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They fixed recent attackers and they fixed the alliances.
Awesome. Been asking for those for months.
I know, I was doing a little happy dance.
Recent attackers, not that we'd know because we haven't had any.
True.
Hey, our bases get peaked. They just don't get hit.
That's true.
Recent peakers.
Recent peakers.
Then you can peek back and get even, right?
Right. Go suicide a gunboat.
Maybe we should change the name of the game to Peaky Pirates.
Maybe temporarily. Hopefully they'll get it fixed for us then.
Yeah. Okay, guys, that was it in terms of content. Any parting thoughts? I'm going to go to our guest first, Reina.
Fix it and communicate.
In that order?
No, communicate the fix and then fix it.
Yeah, I agree with you now. Okay, Cuddle?
Just to reinforce what Reina said, just take some time and actually think through the impact of what your changes are. And good luck on Bounty, everyone.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Cuddle?
That's it. Just good luck on the Bounty.
All right. Liam?
Yeah, it's been a rough month since Overdamage, you know. I just hope that they bring it together and get it right. And as you've all said, you know, communicate. That's it.
Yeah. I'll second everything you guys said and just say, you know, whatever Kickside does, don't do Band-Aid fixes. Don't just go and increase deflection on this one hole now because it's new and screw the rest. I mean, do a systemic fix, communicate, maybe fix after Bounty. Maybe now ramp up the overdamage because it's really, you know, but do it slowly because I think less and less people are running tier 6 guards and moving towards tier 7 guards, and now they're getting cheap. So maybe it becomes less of a problem if it happens slowly and not like surprise. You know, do systemic fixes and communicate what you're going to do to players. George?
Figure out what the hell you did wrong first and then try and fix it. And
if you don't know, call George.
Don't call me. And I would just like them to figure out what went wrong and then correct that. And as everybody has, I mean, I don't know if there's anybody in the community that's not going to agree with this. You've got to communicate with your player base. You have to.
Yeah. Talking about communication, before we close the show, I got a statement from Rampage saying, everyone's been complaining about support response times. Like I had recently a ticket that was waiting for a reply for 7 days, and I know people waiting for 8 days and 9 days. He said, I don't know the reason, but he just said they have a whole bunch of new people who joined customer support, Battle Pirates team. They are in training, and he expects response times to go back to normal in, he said, a few weeks. I don't know if that means 1, 2, 3, or 4, but there is new staff and they're being trained. I think that's the point. And 7, 8 days of wait time for a ticket to reply is not the new normal, he said. That's an abnormal situation that they are addressing. So having said that, that's it. Thanks, Reina, for joining. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Liam, over to you.
Yeah, no, thanks, Reina, for joining tonight, and thanks everyone for coming on the show, and thanks everyone that's came out and watched the show. Yeah, it's been a rough time in BP, but let's hope that that greener grass is coming, and you know, good luck everyone in the Bounty.
Yeah, good luck everybody, or I mean, either with Bounty or fishing, and have a good night.
Yeah. Good
Have
luck.
a good night, all.
Hey,
Good night.
night, everyone.